everybody. I'm Joey Evans.
And I'm Chris Yee.
Today, we are taking a look at a game by Rob Daviau and Stephen Baker.
That's right, the actor who played R2-D2.
It is not.
That's Kenny Baker. I was thinking of the guy who played Doctor Who.
Still not.
That's Colin Baker. I'm thinking about the guy who played drums for Cream. That's Ginger Baker. Stephen Baker made a Hero Escape?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and Rob Daviau made...
Hero Betrayal at the House on the Hill.
Okay, yes. All right, so, but this is one that is getting popularity now because it is on discount at Ollie, let's be honest. But no, this is the 2023 release here. This is Warriors of Krynn, Dragonlance, so kind of set in the D&D universe, right? And you're a D&D fan, right? As far as you've played it for a while.
Yeah, I've been in a multi-year campaign and everything.
Yeah, and but this is one that, when you look at the back, you pick it up thinking D&D, you look at the back and you're like, huh, I did not expect that. Let's take a look at how it plays. Okay, we are set up for a game of Dragonlance Warriors of Krynn here. This is a scenario-based game, and we are set up right now for the first scenario, and this is just training ground just to show you quickly how this game plays. Now again, I'm not going to go through all the rules. I'm going to kind of give you a quick overview about how this particular game plays. So this scenario right here has a winning condition. If you win, if you return all 3 flags and you defeat all the vile champions, and a hero with an equipment card returns over to the command post over here. And these are the flags, the objectives here. You'll see the yellow exclamation points right there, and these are the vile champions. So the game is pretty simple. Here is how it is played. Of course, you lose if the Dragon Army takes control of these 2 battle tiles, or you have no cards when you're about to take stress, which are actually your hit points here, if one of your people dies. So, speaking of the people, here's how they're built right here. We've got these, our stress is at 0. These are our hit points. And over here is a ranger. This is going to show you the cards, the ability cards that I've got here for the ranger. And also, these are the abilities we could use throughout the game. And the same over here with the cleric. You're going to have these ability cards as well. Now, we'll go into exactly how to use those in a moment. Okay, so on the turn, it's very simple. On everyone's turn, you're going to first have the event phase, the action phase, then the respite phase, and then the battle phase. So first off, event phase, very simple. You're going to flip over a card, just like this. And this is I'm going to drop it just to show you guys that it does fall. Gravity does work with this game. So first off, we have right now, add 1 Dragon Army foot unit to each battle tile neighboring the active flank. Now let's go into this right here. So this is the left flank and right flank. You'll notice the left flank is active because the word active right there. So this says add 1 Dragon Army foot unit to each battle tile neighboring the active flank. That'll be over here. And the foot units are here, the ones in front. So we're going to take another unit and place it right here. Now, before we go, and this also says reveal another event card, which I will do in a moment. Before I do that, let me explain these armies here. These are the different units. So you've got foot, then you've got missile, and then you've got mounted right here. So all of these are positioned here, and you've got the same here. You've got foot, then missile, then mounted. You've actually got, they're different here. Notice this one's upside down. This means it's shaken. So pretty much each of these has 2 hit points. They're full here. You flip them, and first hit point, they become shaken. And if they get hit when they're shaken, they are removed. All right? So they can be either normal or shaken. The same with your commanders. You're going to see a commander of each of these units right here. So right over here, none of these are shaken. This one right here, she is shaken, meaning that she cannot activate her ability. All right? So these can be, again, they can be normal or they can be shaken. So now that you know kind of how this works, and then we're going to see how these kind of do battle each other. Now let's go to that second event card, which is right up here. The second event card here says on the active flank, refresh a number of Dragon Army units equal to the number of heroes in play. Well, that's refresh. None of these are shaken, so this doesn't do anything. However, the battle phase, that's the important thing. When we get to the battle phase, this says there's going to be a skirmish. So I'm going to go ahead and set that here. Once we get that battle phase, we know there's going to be a skirmish, and we also know it's going to happen on this flank here. So now, that is the event phase. Now we're going to go to the action phase. An action phase, you have 4 actions. Those are shown right here. You can activate a class power, though that's one of the powers right here. You could initiate a conflict. Now, initiating the conflict is going up once you're actually here with one of these guys, you're going to be able to initiate a conflict with them. First, take an example here. If this guy right here was over in this position, here we go, was with him, that he has a conflict, a constitution of 2. Now, if you have mastered that skill, you are lowering that. So now he has a 1. That's a skill check is what it is. I could use one action to roll 1 die, which are right here. And if I get a success, I've completed that and I've beat that, I've conquered that champion right here. Or I could use another action, so do 2 actions, that would give me an extra die, just like that. Or another option is I can discard a constitution, which is the same one that he matches right here, discard that to get an extra die. So I can always do 2 die if I want to use 2 actions just to make sure I get it. There we go. So I've actually succeeded, but I've also got this. Now this is called a woe. A woe. Woe means that I am going to also take a hit. So there we go. So I would remove him from the board. All right. So this pretty much, these die here have a hit. They have also got a double hit and they've got the woe right over here. And of course they also have a blank. So that is initiate a conflict. Now if you kind of overkill, then you will also get an equipment card right over here. And that's how you get these. And these give you different things, like this gives you gain 2 actions as a free action. So that's the first thing you can do. You can initiate a conflict. Also, you can initiate an encounter. An encounter could be one of 3 things. Number 1, it could be, you could be on this tile and you could bring this shaken person back here, and that is a wisdom check of 3 that's done the same way you have done the conflict over here. Except instead of dice rolls, you're going to use actions. So right here, it would take 3 actions to flip this over, or if this is my mastered, which it is, it would take 2 actions. So I can refresh a shaken commander. I can also activate a tile's power. I can't do it here because there's already a champion, but if this guy was defeated, then I could do this as a 2 wisdom. It takes 2 actions. Again, because I've got wisdom, it would only be 1 action, spend 1 action. And then I would get the ability on this tile, which here is refresh 6 alliance units on 1 battle tile. Then I flip this tile, then I will flip it over. So that's kind of a one-time deal that I can use those. And also examine an objective. This is more scenario-based. For example, here it's going to be to get these flags, which is kind of the point to get to here, here, and here. Then after that, we're going to go to move your hero. Now, moving is a little bit different, obviously. You can move from tile to tile. But let's say I'm here. You'll notice these yellow arrows. These are roads. So once I move here, I can continue on this road until it ends. Okay, so I can follow every time these yellows will connect. That is considered a road. All right. Now, one thing to remind you and to remember is if you ever leave an area with a champion in it, you're going to take a stress. Even if it's just moving from here to here, you're going to take a stress. So if I decided to do 1, travel through to here, I will then take a stress. Okay. So you can travel all the way, and that makes movement a bit easier. It's kind of like you're running back there behind your troops, kind of rallying the troops Braveheart style. Very thematic. And then like once you get here, it would take another movement to walk up here. Then finally, you can play free action cards. You'll notice that these different ability cards are in your hand. This is a free action here, your charisma. You can refresh 2 units on your tile. So you can spend these as free actions. And then you can also put out a fire. Notice these fire right here because you are fighting the dragon army. So you can actually put out a fire, meaning you can remove this. So now you can use this for more of your troops. And these will become more and more prevalent depending on the scenario you're in. And then you can also transfer equipment back and forth. Okay, so next is a respite phase, and this only happens if you're on a tile without any enemies on there. So you can't be with these units here from the Dragon Army. You can't be with over here with the champion. But if you're there by yourself, you can recover 2 stress, or you can bring 2 of these that you may have spent for various reasons. You can return those back to your hand. And then finally, you have the battle phase, and that's when you're going to initiate this. Now, this battle phase right here says skirmish. Skirmish means you're going to roll this skirmish die right here. Now, this is going to tell you which of these lines are going to attack. So first off, here we go. So this shows a commander is going to attack, as well as this right here is the mounted symbol. So first off, the commanders do what they do. So this guy's going to go. Now, in the order they go, the stronger one is the attacker. So right here, of course, the dragon army is stronger, so they're going to attack first. Then this commander is going to go shake 2 units in the alliance line with the most ready units. So right here would kind of be a tie, so we'll go ahead and shake these foot soldiers here. All right, and then finally over here, this right here, shake 2 units in any dragon army line. So we're going to go ahead and shake 2 right here. All right, so now, because this showed the mounted line is going to go. First off, we're going to flip this over, and this says shake all units in the alliance mounted line. Okay, so we're going to take these. So what this does is these are going to make these easier to remove because that's pretty much essentially taking away one of their hit points. And then over here, we're going to go to this mounted right here. And this says choose 1. Apply 2 hits to the foot line or roll 3 battle die and apply the hits to the foot line. So we're going to literally roll the dice. We're going to see what we can get here. And that did not work out better for me. So 2, we're going to apply 2 hits to the foot line right here. So we're going to shake just like this. Shake these 2. And then I do get a whoa. So that is going to go ahead because this was the mounted line over here. That is going to take 1 hit, and that will remove 1 from my mounted line. Just like that. Now, that is a skirmish. So skirmish, one of these lines are going to go. There's also all-out battles. And all-out battle will be everybody goes. And from that, you're going to go foot, missile, then you're going to go mounted. So all of those are going to battle, and you're going to have that battle out. And that's an all-out battle. One thing, too, is going to be some of these are going to tell you to read the next event card. Like, for example, right here, read the entry for the next key moment. So what you do there is you're going to go ahead and move this key moment up. You're going to check your scenario book, and then you're going to read the story. I'm not going to read it right now because you might want to be surprised on those, but you're going to read the story that happens at 1, something that's happened during the battle. So every time you're going to read something, and it kind of gives you some flavor text as far as what's going on. And more things could happen. There could be more fire tokens come down. There could be more alliance troops come out, more dragon troops come out. Something could happen to advance the story along. And a lot of times this key moment is going to tie into the scenario about winning or losing as well. Okay, so again, that's just the quick and dirty. I'm being vague just because these scenarios, there are a lot of different scenarios. This is, of course, 2 flanks. And then later, you're going to go to where it's a lot larger of a battle, a lot more going on, a lot further to travel. So there's a lot that you can get from this. And right here is going to be a scenario book. And at the end of this, the rules book here is going to where you're going to be reading all the different flavor text and things like that. That's going to be happening as you play through each of these scenarios. So you keep going until you get the winning condition or the losing condition, and also you can take over tiles if you're the only one of the units on a tile. You've taken over that tile. So you keep going at like that until you achieve the end, win or lose. A couple of the things, there are war engines that will come out later, and those are scenario dependent. And also there are these tactic tiles here. That's pretty much, you're going to have different actions that allow you to put those on a line, and they're going to add to that strength of that line when you compare back and forth. So, but pretty much that is the quick and dirty about how to play Dragonlance Warriors of Krynn. We're going to send it back and see what we thought about it. Okay, so that's pretty much a gist of it. Just a quick overview as far as the rules. The rules do change as you go deeper into the game, but this is just to kind of give you an idea of how the game is played.
Yeah, so so it's set in the D&D universe.
Yes.
And the first thing that I saw when you'd set it up was just a component-wise. I thought, oh, those kind of look like. You ever seen like the original printings of Risk that didn't come with little so
yes.
That came with kind of the arrows and stuff?
Yes.
And I'll tell you what, it took me a bit longer than it should have to remember. Like, that's the missile row. That's the foot soldier row.
Yeah, the missile's the only one I realized because it kind of looked like the little bullet from Mario Kart, but mounted, and then it's just, yeah, it's not really dripping with theme.
No,
but then, I mean, there are those 6 minis, though, that come with it.
Okay. Yeah, the adventurer, the character ones.
Yeah, and the whole thing is when you build your character, you kind of get to choose whichever your masteries are and all that. You get to build it. But that's really, and they say you can import your own character from D&D into this, but it's really thin.
I mean, yeah, I'll just say that, like, if I had to bring over my character, Tabin Pfeiffer, and it was like, I have 2 con cards, a stir card, and a whiz.
Yeah. Yeah, that itself, it's Now, okay, component-wise, as far as like the box, fine. I don't like when I got this and it was like a box inside of a box, which was very weird. I think we just sat there for a while just thinking, how do I open this?
We finally, it's like a tearaway.
Yeah.
One-time box.
That's it. And I was like, I'm not new to Earth, but I don't know how this works. So anyway, once you get in there, the minis are good. Minis are washed. They're fine. But as far as the way the whole flanking, because when I first saw the flanking action, I thought this would be fun. It's a very, almost a general feel. I was hoping it would be one of those like those big generals stand over the map and you move over like this. It is not like that.
It's mostly just kind of rows poke at each other until one of them dies.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, very simplifies it. I mean, the whole thing is when you have the skirmish, the battles, you're going to flip, and it's like a lot of times it's roll through battle dice.
Yeah, you say simplified. I don't know if it's not grand, right?
No.
But it's also not smooth. I think that's the big problem. My characters are running around trying to accomplish the mission, right? Rescue villagers before they get murdered, or go find these hidden artifacts and stuff. So I kind of care about my character running around doing this mission thing. The problem is that these big battles that are neither epic nor a good pressure point. Kind of like in Pandemic, in a good cooperative game, you have your mission, and then you have this other mounting pressure kind of building up on the sides. That city's starting to have, starting to get close to an outbreak. If it breaks out, it's going to have this other issue. This one just kind of feels like troops are firing at each other very slowly.
It does, and to the fact that you don't really care who wins or loses, you just don't want yours to be depleted, so you have to then worry about it. Because all this is going on, and you are just, at first when I played this first time, I'm like, I want to win these battles, and the battles are pretty much not winnable. No. You just need to finish your objectives before you lose one of the flanks.
Right, exactly. So, like I said, like that, it's like in Pandemic. You're never going to wipe out all of the diseases.
Right.
Or a lot of cooperative games, you can't put out all of the fires. The problem is that these are side distraction fires that take up most of your administration time, like running the game.
Administration is a good way to say it. It's more bookkeeping as far as being able to flip those, and it's okay. We have this and that. It's tedious.
Yeah, when you flip over the event card and it says all out battle, I think, oh no, not because I'm worried about my troops. Like, oh no, we're gonna have to roll like 19 battle dice,
right?
And like count losses, exhaust, or shaken. What was it?
Yeah, shaken, where you flip over once, and you had a good point.
Not stirred.
Yes, exactly. Don't stir them. But you had a good point to where it's like, okay, well, maybe this will work the way they say to do it. In the middle of a D&D campaign, you leave that, and you're like, this is the battle that's taking place, you step over here. And I think you said, oof, I would be so angry if you said, let's leave my campaign and come over here. We're going to do this. And it's like, huh.
Right.
Yeah, and it's even the skill checks as far as, getting the champions and being able to flip the tiles. None of that is really interesting.
Unfortunately, not super much. But what I will say to the positive of this, right? Because I have to look at this from my perspective as we're board gamers. We're very steeped in the board gaming hobby.
Right.
Right. I have played dozens of other cooperative games that I would come to first. This has an appeal, right? The look of it, the shelf appeal and everything. And
it does.
And for people who have played a lot of D&D and haven't played a lot of other board games to compare it to, this could be good. This could be fun as something to do adjacent. I wouldn't do it in the middle of a D&D campaign.
No, that's the worst idea ever.
Right. But to say like, hey, we got a fun like board game we can play kind of on the side, right? For a lot of us, it was like Lords of Waterdeep was kind of that game.
Right.
Right. For a lot of D&D people, they dipped their toe into board gaming through Waterdeep or through maybe those Wrath of a Shardalon type games.
Right.
This one's not great, but I see the appeal of it. It is a little bit chaotic and wild, like Betrayal at House on the Hill. Mm-hmm. And you see, Rob Davio, obviously, the designer on that one.
Yep.
But Betrayal at House on the Hill's strength was more in its zaniness rather than its, fun mechanical foundation.
Right.
And this has some of that shared mechanical foundation, I think.
It is. There are neat aspects. On the positive side, there are neat aspects as far as I like the idea of running behind your troops. And you kind of rally them. You've got some different abilities that can help them win. You pull more troops in. But as you're doing different things along the back, and I love that road where you can kind of zip from one side to the other. But ultimately, I just don't know how many times I'd go back to it. Because of that, it just becomes so long. And there's no way to speed that up because you're literally flipping and you're like setting them out and doing all that.
Right.
So, and there's some, you level up and things like that, but I don't know how much I would lean towards doing that.
I like that there is in the event deck an event card that says read the next story moment, next key moment. You go to the book, and in the tutorial scenario, there is no flavor text.
There's none. It just tells you fire, put fire token down.
Right. As you play through the campaign, it does have some flavor text.
Yeah.
But it's lacking. It could have a little bit more, and that could be the thing that would make me say, like, oh, there's something more to it, right? It's fine flavor text, but I do like that mechanically. Hey, at some point, this kind of predetermined story event is going to break out, change things, and it could really change the map, the landscape, in kind of an exciting way. I wish that there were more of those moments of excitement and less of those moments of bookkeeping.
Yeah, and that's a good way. And also, you mentioned the rule book and the scenario book. There's two books, of course, a scenario and a rule book. What I don't like when a game does is it says, pretty much says, hey, just set up scenario 0 over here. But then you go over here, they're telling you, go to this book. Then you go to this book, and it describes things in this scenario like you should know what you're talking about. Grab this. I'm like, oh, well, crap, I got to go look and see what that is.
Right, not sure what a tactics token is yet.
Yes, I'm like, okay, I got to figure out, got to have my whole board in front of me to figure this out. I don't like that. So it took a while to get into. But the rules are very simple. I think some people will like it for what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so
score-wise, for me, I'm coming in pretty low on this because, once again, I'm coming from this from, hey, I'm a board gamer primarily, right. And I would like to have seen this be more robust. So I'm giving this one a 5 out of 10.
Okay.
It's not something I'm going to come back to. It's something I would tell most people avoid. But if, as you were going through it, as Joe was showing the how to play part of it, the kind of the overview, if it looked appealing to you, if that looked fun, right, kind of running around like Martin Wallace at Braveheart, right?
Yes.
Not Martin Wallace. It was
Braveheart. It was Mel Gibson.
Yeah. So if you like that kind of running
Martin
around,
Wallace.
if I'm
William Wallace.
William Wallace.
Okay.
Colin Baker. If I'm in this area, I can take the damage instead of my troops, and there's like those little moments of excitement. And if that looks fun to you, then check it out. You could probably find it kind of discounted.
You probably can. And, okay, I come in a bit higher at a 6, only because I like what it's a unique game. I haven't seen something that does this. And once you see the overview, you're going to know if this is a game for you, because there's two ways to view it. Later, you look at the maps, and there are some that have just 4 armies. And if you're like Chris, you're like, oof, would not want to have to handle that.
That's give you a lot of upkeep. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you're looking at like, oh, well, that would be great to be able to run along those back lines and kind of motivate them and get that going, you know what it is going in. So for me, it's probably not one I'm ever going to go back to, but I see the charm in it and the mechanics. So that is Dragonlance, Warriors of Krynn. All right, I'm Joey Evans.
And I'm Chris Yee.
And we're going to go flank somebody.
He puts a Krynn on my face.
That's a good one.